Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So to give a little bit of a life update, this past month I just finished my internship and I'm super excited because I got a return offer for next year in their technology consulting practice in New York City, and I got the software that I wanted, so I'm super duper excited and I've been really busy with that sort of these last few weeks. But now going back to school, I'm getting sort of back in that school mindset, and so I wanted to film a video sort of everything that you need to know about the University of Illinois. I want to do this in two parts, so I decided the first part's going to be sort of an overall profile of the school. This is probably more before you get to school, and then the second part I want it to be all about the student life, the campus, and sort of what there is to do. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Also, I just really wanted to add really quick, I know that students are now doing virtual learning, and so that's obviously going to impact your experience within a university, but this is sort of imagining that everything is back to normal, and so hopefully if you're a freshman, that your sophomore, junior, and senior year will look like this. Everything that I have the notes on my phone, so if I have my phone, that's why. And then also all of the facts and the numbers that I have are from the University of Illinois website, and they're for the year 2020, so I'm sure that within a few years these numbers can change, so just keep that in mind. Starting off, I'm just going to give an overall profile of the school. So right now there's around 34,000 undergrad students and around 16,000 grad students. So compared to other universities, this is a very large university. If you're a kind of person that likes to be a big fish in a small pond, this is definitely not for you. But I think something that I really like about this school is there's so many clubs and organizations, which I'll go into depth later. So it's really able to make the bigger school feel small. For the classrooms, there is an 18:1 professor ratio, and I'm sure that this is also going to vary across the various colleges within the university, because honestly, as a business major, at least within my first few years, most of my classes were big lecture halls, and so that is going to depend. If you're a person that likes and thrives sort of in those smaller classrooms, that definitely is something to take into consideration, because at a big university, it's definitely more of the pressure put on yourself to make sure that you're going in for help when you need to, and to make sure that you're sort of staying on top of those deadlines. The University of Illinois is also known for being one of the most diverse schools within the Big Ten, and this is something that I, as a student, really value within my college experience. And when I was looking into colleges, I actually really wanted this, because when you're working on a project, it's so important to have people that come from various backgrounds, because they provide so many different perspectives within the work that you're doing. And I can say that University of Illinois is extremely diverse. Whenever I'm put on a project, there's always someone who comes from a different cultural background, and I've really been able to learn so much about different areas across the world. So I would definitely say that that is something that I'm really proud of, and to be at that university. Really quick, I'm just going to touch on a little bit what there is to do at school. Again, as I mentioned, I'm going to make a whole nother video on this, but basically there are over 1,800 student-run organizations, RSOs, and so this is a really big thing at the school. Is there's plenty of opportunities for you to get involved. There's literally so many things. There's even, I'm pretty sure, a club that's like the October Lovers Club, so if you like the fall, that's definitely going to be for you. So there's literally always an opportunity for you to find something, whether you're in engineering or you're in sort of going more of the medical route, or you're within business. There's always an organization for you to join. And again, this is really important, especially within a big university, because those smaller communities are what are going to create and foster that sense of home for you on campus. And so it's really important to push yourself to be involved within these organizations. The next thing that I want to touch on is that the University of Illinois is a D1 school for sports, and so I will mention that while sports are very big at this school, it isn't the driving force for the student atmosphere, I would say. There's definitely other things that I feel like students are a little bit more involved with. The sports are very big role of it, but I wouldn't say it's as big as other schools such as the University of Michigan or Ohio State, where sort of those football games are the place to go on weekends. So just something to take into consideration if you do want a school that has a really big sort of school spirit within that end. I think for the University of Illinois, it's reflected in other aspects. Now I'm going to go into talking about admittance into the university. I would say that the University of Illinois is ranked pretty highly internationally, because there are lots of international students that come to the University of Illinois, and I think that really speaks to the value that they see within the university. So I will just start off giving some statistics about the overall students that go to U of I. I saw online that the University of Illinois on average tends to have for incoming students a 3.78 GPA. So what this means for those students that are in high school, it's roughly having a mixture between A's and B's in your classes. Of course, if you're taking AP classes, that's going to bump up your GPA, and if you're sort of taking regular classes, that's also going to affect where you fall within that spectrum. So just something to take in consideration. The university does have a holistic approach to admitting students into the college, so just make sure that you are understanding how you can develop yourself as an overall student, because that's going to be really important. They're going to want to admit someone who they think is going to give back to the university, who they think is going to be involved, and who's going to really sort of stand out, and so they really want someone who's an overall well-rounded person. So the average ACT score of the students that are admitted is a 28 to 34. Again, this is going to vary between the various colleges that you're applying to, so keep that into consideration. And then the average SAT score is a 1290 to 1490. So again, this is slightly above, I would say, some of the averages at other universities. So if you're in the process of sort of taking those exams, make sure that you're really trying to push for these scores, because it can really make a difference also within the amount of financial aid that you end up getting. So now I'm going to go into specific colleges. So I would say at the University of Illinois, the Geese College of Business and the Granger College of Engineering are the biggest colleges within the university because they are very highly ranked. The Geese College of Business is ranked number 19 within their program in the US. So it's done very highly for itself, and its accounting program is actually number 2 in the US. So we get a lot of recruiters that come to U of I to recruit these types of students, and so the rigor of their scores is a little bit higher. For the GPA, they do request a 3.6 to 3.95 of typically the students that get in. The SAT score is a 1390 to 1470, so that is a little bit higher than those who are admitted to the university overall. And the ACT for those in the Geese College of Business is 30 to 33. So that's again just something to be considerate of when you're trying to look into a school, is if your requirements, if your statistics sort of fall in line with the general students that are going there. And again, don't let these numbers scare you or intimidate you, because if you may exceed in one area, may compensate for another area that maybe you don't do as well. So just keep the hope and just apply, because you'll never end up knowing. Now for the Granger College of Engineering, it is ranked number 6 within the program in the US. So again, it's very, very highly recognized, and a lot of recruiters do come to the University of Illinois for those engineering students. And so the GPA to get into the engineering program is 3.7 to 4.0. This is all on a 4.0 scale, so just keep that in mind. And the SAT is a 1430 to 1540, and the ACT is 32 to 35. The College of Engineering is harder to get into than some of those other colleges, so maybe just keep that into consideration if you would like to have a backup plan. So now I'm going to begin to discuss their honors program. So once you're admitted into the university, there's different opportunities that you have within their honors program. So if you're within the top 10% of the incoming class of your college, then you'll be considered to be a James Scholar. So for me, going into my college, I was in the top 10% of my class, and so I was considered as a James Scholar. And then I think if you're part of the James Scholar program, they'll send you an invite to apply for the honors program. I never applied to the honors program because I was committed to another school before, and so I missed the deadline. But I do know other students who are within the honors program, and basically I don't know exactly the extent of everything that they do, but I know they have an extra class and they have other opportunities available to develop and grow as a student within the college. So if that's something that you qualify for, definitely look into it. It's a great opportunity, and I know that students who are in it really form sort of their own community within the school. I'm not too sure on the exact timeline of all of this, but I've heard that basically you get an invite to apply to the honors program, then you interview, and then you end up finding out a few weeks later if you get into the honors program. So now I'm going to discuss financial aid and sort of the price of going to the university. And I know that this is a really, really important factor in determining sort of the place that you want to spend the next 4 years. And so I know, at least for me, this completely changed where I ended up choosing, and at the end of the day, where I ended up going and where I am now. So I am going to sort of go through the numbers of the price for various students. So if you're an Illinois resident, for tuition, it is around $16,000 to $21,000, depending on the college that you apply for. Also, various colleges have different prices. So I know specifically that the College of Business and the College of Engineering are a little bit more expensive to go to. So again, it's something to keep in mind. For room and board, it's roughly around $12,252. For book supplies and other expenses, this varies significantly. So again, this is just something that they're estimating, which they estimated around $3,000, but depending on how you budget and where you live, that can obviously vary. So overall, they're estimating that for an Illinois resident, it's gonna cost $32,000 to $37,000. For a non-Illinois resident, they're estimating tuition is around $34,000 to $39,000. Room and board is again $12,000. Books and supplies and transportation is $4,000, because they are assuming if you're not from Illinois, you're going to be paying a little bit more in transportation, sort of going back and from the university. And so the total would be $50,000 to $55,000 for a non-Illinois resident. For an international student, tuition is $35,000 to $44,000. Room and board is again $12,000. Books and supplies are $4,000, and the total for an international student is $51,000 to $61,000. So that, I would say, in comparison to other universities, is very high. And again, I think it's really important for you when you're determining where you want to go for the next 4 years to understand where you want to sort of distribute your budget within your money, how much loans you want to be able to take out, how much loans you'll be able to graduate with, if your parents are going to be able to help you pay for it, or if sort of you're going to be having to supply the money for most of your education. And so that's something that's really important in understanding sort of what you value. I have heard of students that will also be able to leverage financial aid packages from different universities. I personally wasn't able to do that. I think that probably works more for private universities, but that is definitely something to look into if you maybe get a better financial aid package at a university. Again, that was the case for me and I wasn't able to leverage that, but that is an option to further explore. And also, from financial aid, I would say it's super duper important to submit your financial aid in the very beginning. So I believe the application for FAFSA comes out in October, and submit your application as soon as you can, because my counselors and advisors in high school used to tell me that you're more likely to get more money if you submit it early, because if you think about, they have this budget that they distribute to their students at the beginning, sort of they have everything, and as sort of more applications come in, they start giving away the money, and at the end they don't have as much money to distribute. So try to get your application in as early as possible so you can really maximize the amount of financial aid that you can receive. I'd also highly recommend to apply for scholarships within your high school and within your local community. That was an opportunity that I personally took advantage of going into college, and it paid for a significant part of my freshman year because I was always applying. I literally submitted so many applications and I was always doing interviews within my senior year. And yes, at the time it may seem like a hassle, you know, you're in the senior year mode, you're not really wanting to submit these applications, write these essays, but at the end of the day, it will pay off when you graduate and you won't have as much money in loans. I do know students who work at school, and if that's something that's available for you, definitely do it. I personally wasn't exploring it during my freshman year. I sort of wanted to focus on more leadership positions and getting involved in various other organizations, but there's always opportunities to find a job if that's something you want to do, and I have plenty of friends who have done it and are very efficient in managing their time, which is extremely important. So when it comes to determining the financial aid for schools, I know financials are something that are very personal, and so again, sit down, have that conversation with your family, and you'll be able to make the best decision for yourself. And again, if it comes down to maybe choosing a cheaper university than what you originally wanted, I can say I was in that position and you'll be okay, and if anything, you can always end up transferring, so no worries, it will all work out. Lastly, I'm going to quickly touch on study abroad, because I know when I was looking at universities, I was very focused on study abroad ever since I was in high school and I saw my sister study abroad. I knew that that was something that I was going to do. It wasn't even a question for me, and so I really wanted a school that had plenty of opportunities to study abroad in various countries across the world. And so the University of Illinois has 400 programs in 65 different countries. So that is something that's extremely important to consider if this is something that you're looking for in a future university. And I personally felt that I have plenty of opportunities to study abroad. I have plenty of options, and I think even now within Corona, I know that travel is a little bit more sort of open and in sort of up in the air. I've heard that the university is working really hard to adjust those programs and make sure that it is safe for students. So although I don't know if I'll study abroad in the spring, I for sure will study abroad my senior year because it's just always been something I've wanted to do. But I know that the university is really accommodating and making sure that those opportunities are available while still making sure that the health and safety of their students is at the forefront of their decisions. So that is going to conclude my part 1 of everything there is to know about the University of Illinois. As I mentioned again, I am going to film a part 2 on dorms, student life, what there is to do on campus. So if you like and subscribe if you want to check out that video in the future, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!